Welcome back. Thank you very much for joining me for another episode, another insight. Have you ever looked at, through a shopping catalog or gone to a shop, looked online and seen something that you really, really love, and you're thinking to yourself, I have really got to get that. And it becomes such a burning obsession and desire to actually attain that which actually caught your eye. Have you ever been in a situation like that? I know I have been several times. There's been several things that I've seen that really caught my eye, and then it starts this fire inside of me where I really want to have that. And I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get that. Okay, today I want to speak to you about, slavery. And slavery occurs in so many different formats. I know we speak about modern day slavery where we speak about human trafficking and, child marriages where children are forced into marriages and they cannot leave. That is a form of slavery as well. There are various forms of slavery. But I want to speak about the one slavery that we, especially as Christians, do not speak about at all. And the one slavery that we get caught up most predominantly on a day-to-day basis is slavery to our desires. We all have different desires and we all have different wants in life. But have we actually realized that we can get caught up in a form of slavery to those desires? That is what we are talking about on today's Insight. And I hope that you take value from this insight. I hope it helps you get that perspective and get that shift in terms of your thinking. Okay, thank you very much for joining me again. On this channel, I share value through insights that help you tap into your true potential and live your life on a higher level, God's way, the way God actually intended for you. And we're speaking today about, being a slave to your desires. The one thing that I want to encourage you with is that, God knows your heart and He always wants the best for you in every circumstance and in every instance. Sometimes we get caught up in, the wants and the desires of the world that we start building up tabernacles, with regards to these desires because they're actually pulling us away from God. And God says very clearly in His word, He is a jealous God. He does not want us to have other gods other than Him. So how do our desires, pull us away from actually who God is and what God says? Let us look at desires firstly, because I'm not going to go with a dictionary explanation. I'm not going to go with a made-up explanation either. Let's go to the book of Proverbs and let one of the wisest men that ever walked the face of the earth explain to us how we actually get caught up in our desires. And we find this reading in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7, where Solomon says, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender." Okay. Have you ever asked yourself, are your desires ruling over you? When your desires start ruling over you, you start worshiping your desires. And that is a form of idolatry, where you are building up this tabernacle, this want, this desperate need inside of you, whether it be a desire for another person, whether it be a desire for a better life, whether it be a desire for a material object, whatever it is. We tend to build these obstacles up or these tabernacles up based on this desire that we have, failing to realize that we are actually impacting our relationship with God. For this reason, we always need to pray as Jesus prayed, "Lord, your will be done, not mine." We all have ambitions, we all have goals, and that is a beautiful thing to have ambitions, to have goals, because Habakkuk tells you, write the vision down. Proverbs tells you that without a vision you perish. So God wants you to have visions, He wants you to have ambitions, and He wants you to have goals. But He also wants us to be, like Paul explained it in the book of Philippians, where he says, "I know what it's like to be rich and I know what it's like to be poor. But in all these things I have found contentness, because I know that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." And that is the type of desire God desires for us to have, or wants for us to have, is to have that contentness in the belief and the understanding that, okay, this is what I want to achieve with my life, Lord, but I am content and I'm at ease and at peace in terms of my journey, in terms of my walk, that you are bringing it to pass in accordance with your will. I look at how I'm rebuilding my life and this journey that I've been taking. It could have been a case of me getting impatient and getting all flustered because, it's been taking a long time to get to the level where I currently am in terms of my journey. And I could have fought and argued with God all the way, like a child having a tantrum. But I've also learned to have contentness and have patience in terms of building. Yes, there are things that I want to achieve in my walk. There are things that breakthroughs that I desperately want in my life. But I remember, or I know and I understand to put God first in terms of my desires. I bring my desires to His tabernacle, to His feet, and I say, Lord, this is my heart. This is what I would love to see happening in my journey. I'm just asking, how does this tie in with your will and your plans for my particular life? So I'm going to flow with whatever you are saying here. And even if it doesn't make sense to me at times, because sometimes I do get frustrated, then I have to catch myself and I have to stop myself and I have to say, you know what? God's will be done, not my will. Because I want to challenge you, look at your life and say to yourself, where have I been building up tabernacles? Where have I made my desires so much bigger than actually my faith and my belief and my walk with God? Where have I shifted my focus? Maybe it's a situation at work where you're trying to get a breakthrough at work. Maybe it's a monetary issue where you feel that you are lacking the finances to get this particular breakthrough that you want in your life. Whatever it is, we're all getting caught up in slavery in one form or another. Whether you are the most godly person walking with God on a day-to-day basis, whether you are someone that just is so completely far away from God, in one form or another, we are all getting caught up in this form of slavery or slavery to our desires. And that is why I want to challenge you with this particular insight. And I want to encourage you, look at your life, do an audit on your life and say, you know what, this has been in line with God, this has not been in line with God. This is very selfish of me thinking that, God is supposed to move in this situation because I want it. So all of these are forms of slavery, and it's slavery to our desires, where we are building up tabernacles other than God. So let us not push God aside because we want we have a certain desire where we expect things to work and shape in a certain direction or go in a certain direction in terms of our lives. Let us open ourselves up to what is God's will for my life? What is God's will or intention for this particular avenue of my life? And inquire of the Lord, speak with the Lord. God loves it when you interact with Him, when you bring the smallest detail to His presence and you say, Lord, is it healthy for me to be eating this type of snack? Is it unhealthy for me to eat that type of snack? Or when you come with your big problems to the Lord as well, Lord, I don't know how I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage this month. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford my car installment this month, Father God. But I know and I trust that you are working through the storm. Lord, I don't know how my marriage is going to survive this particular challenge, but I believe you and I trust that you can make this happen. When we can get to that point where we are content, as Paul spoke about contentness, and not worldly contentness, but godly contentness, when we can get to that point where we are content with, God is working all things together for my good. When we can get to that level of contentness, then we're actually breaking the stronghold of this desire, the slavery desire over our lives. Okay. So I hope that you are getting the value from this particular insight and that you are seeing, because sometimes, the thief comes only to kill, steal, and destroy. And how does he do that? He does that through subtle deceptions. He does that in such a unique way that we don't even see or understand or realize that we are moving further away from God. Okay, so I hope this insight gives you that perspective. It opens up your eyes to that particular thought where you start looking and auditing your life and saying, how have I been a slave to my desires? And if you have any feedback, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your thoughts and your thinking. If you are new to my channel also, please remember to subscribe to my channel. I love putting out content like this that moves your thinking, that shifts your thinking and your beliefs in terms of who God is in our lives. And give the channel a like, please. It helps me reach a wider audience on YouTube because I'm looking to impact as many people with content from, just a godly perspective and just a grounded perspective, giving you that clarity, giving you that understanding that, your life is so much more worth, so much more than what you currently think it is. But you need to start living your life God's way. And I hope that these insights help you reach that particular level in your journey. Alright, so like I said, if you haven't yet, please by all means do subscribe to the channel. If you find value in this, please share it with the next person as well. Let us impact as many lives as we can. Because God says the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. And I believe that we can increase the laborers by increasing God's beautiful, amazing grace through content like this. So thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for the feedback and the input that I have been getting from everyone with regards to this journey and with regards to this walk. I look forward to seeing you in my next insight. For now, this is Vinnie Max saying, change your thinking, change your world.